called the Love Power Show. Anybody know him? Have you heard of this guy? Wallace Red? He's coming up next with the Love Power Show. Got a new cast. Oh my goodness. I want to see what this is going to sound like today. AM 1600 WMQL. Right. Love Power Show is coming up next. Alan, it's coming up next, so I already know you're finna get ready to call. I already know you're finna get ready to call. Love Power, we'll be getting this 30 minutes. Don't forget also to tune in to the Love Power Show every Monday from 5 until 5:30 right here on AM 1600 WMQL. Anybody got a little love? I got some. Well, Wallace ready for to spread it all to you. Right here on the Love Power Show, AM 1600 WMQM, Lakeland, Memphis. Love Power, let's go!
Hey, let it rip.
Let it roll. What's up, muffin man? You got any muffins? You don't leave the light on today?
Yeah, I do.
That light?
Yeah, I forgot. Set it up for me.
You can wire your tape.
Ready?
Let's go!
And welcome to the Love Power Show. In the studio with me today, to my right, young man Jeffrey Steele, who has a degree in sociology and African American studies, research and writer. Also with me today, Brother Omar Baruti, researcher, writer, and speaker. And today, we're going to be talking about immigration and solution thereof. But first, I ran across something I want to read in Race, Class, and Gender. And it speaks to the attributes of African Americans. And I read, mainstream American culture's avoidance of black talent and excellence suggests one of the greatest deficiencies of whiteness. Its inability to celebrate and learn from the strengths and accomplishments of black people. Too often, white people live by rules of self-protection, competitiveness, and self-aggrandizement. A rule which tells us that black men may be more handsome or intelligent than polo ponies on which their rich white brothers ride. Or white people may even try to completely take over those attributes that black people possess. Now, I want to raise a couple of questions about immigration. Tatum, are you on the line? Alan? Let's go forward with it. Now here's, last week we left with Brother Tatum on the line in total disagreement with our assessment. Is that right? And we said we would continue. I spoke with him afterward, and he said he would be with us and we'd talk more about it and get into the solution. Now, immigration, in terms of talking about the Mexicans taking our jobs, coming here, and etc., should immigration for African Americans be turned into economic development, using their own creativity, building businesses, innovation, supporting and trusting one another as African Americans? I want to put that to you first, Brother Omar.
You know, in Black America, our biggest problem is not so much economics, it's our misuse and misunderstanding of economics.
Okay.
If the U.S. Department of Commerce say that in Black America we circulate $1.3 trillion through our community, if we circulated that in our community, among our community members, which are us buying from us working for us, We could eliminate unemployment in one generation.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find a lot of Chinese, Japanese, Koreans on unemployment line.
Mm-hmm.
If we got black businesses and supported those businesses and just refused to buy from other folks, unless we just had to,
Yeah.
then our children would have jobs and we would have economic wealth.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Okay.
We want to buy from somebody that don't look like us.
Okay.
Be happy with it.
Okay. So what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that self-hatred? Because part of my question did deal with supporting and trusting African Americans. So Omar, can you, if you will, it perplexes my mind. Can you elaborate just a little bit more on that? Then I want to go to Jeffrey.
It is self-hatred, and it's a carryover from slavery. I know people don't like to hear about that. We out of slavery, you know, that's post-racial and post-whatever.
Yeah, right.
Post my foot. It's still here. If you had a crazy person that got out of the hospital and you didn't treat the person, he got out with the same mental illness he went in, and then he had children, and he raised their children with the same mental health illness that he had, then they become the same problem that he had, he's become. So a healthy person can raise healthy children. A mentally sick person can't raise anything but mentally sick children. Mm-hmm. But then also a person's mind is messed up. That's all he knows. And that's all we know is the black from the white man. Mm-hmm. And we've been taught his sugar is sweeter, his ice is colder.
Mm-hmm. His heat is hotter.
Yeah, that's all we know. Mm-hmm. Until we can get rid of that.
Yes.
I wish I could isolate us from white people for 100 years, okay, and get back in our right mind. Because when he stole us, he stole our name, our heritage, our culture. He stole everything, and the last thing he took from us was our mind.
It's mental. And you've said that many times right here on this show.
Yes.
And our biggest problem is mental.
Mental.
Jeffrey, what is an immigrant? I'd like to get Brother Tatum on the phone. I don't know if he's out of commission today or not, but hopefully he'll call. Hopefully he'll call. But what is an immigrant? Brother Tatum's saying that the problem is Mexicans taking our jobs. And Obama is letting them do it. That was his totally disagreeing with us last week, saying that I love you, brothers, and we appreciate his love, but you're totally wrong, Brother Tatum. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
That is correct. Just to start off by answering your very first question, what is an immigrant? Quite simply, I just define that as a person or individual from one country or nation who travels, whether legal or illegally, to another nation or country to reside for some point of time. But to answer your question, or to go back to last week's show with Brother Tatum, his last comment, yes, it did get kind of heated, and I wasn't really able to respond, but I think I understood his notion of what he was trying to express.
Okay, we're with it.
I think he was trying to express a somewhat dissatisfaction of Mexicans, or Mexicans coming to America and quote unquote taking our jobs and our benefits. And this is a very common argument of many African Americans across America. They look at Mexicans as if they're taking something from them. But if I could go back to what Brother Omar just was saying, that, and with that point I'm in total agreement. Our issue is not them coming taking our jobs. Our issue is that we have no jobs to provide ourselves with. So we have to go and beg somebody else to employ us. And while we're getting employed, we're wasting our time that we could be spending building each other up and building our own businesses. So that is the problem, not immigration of Mexicans to America.
Okay, Omar, African American, you want to say something about that, but while you're doing it, I want you to answer this question as well. African Americans, immigrants, take off on it.
African Americans are not immigrants. You know, we were brought here as slaves, and some of us were already here before they got here. So we're not immigrants. So we can't be put in that category. But speaking of immigrants, you know, black folk have picked cotton for 400 years. that they want to go pick tomatoes and apples and oranges on the white man's plantation in Florida and California, the door is open. The Mexicans got those jobs, and we don't want them.
Right.
Right.
But if they want to pick and get the jobs the Mexicans are getting, then help yourself. But those are not the jobs our people want. When I had my Allstate insurance agency, I had a brother come in to get some insurance on his lawn service. And the brother, he showed me some bullet wounds in his chest. He used to be a gang member. He served time in prison. He said, I got out, I got my life straight, and he said, I got a lawn service, and that's how I make my living, because nobody would hire me as a convicted felon. He said, but you know what? I hate the way I do it. He said, all my employees are Hispanic. I said, why do you do that when you got a lot of brothers need work? He said, well, I tried that. He said, but they come to work, they have work, on Friday they get paid, and at lunchtime they go cash their check, and they'll come back. Sometimes they come to work drunk, or come to work and drink. He said, with the Mexicans, he said, I don't speak any Spanish, and they don't speak any English. He said, but I work. But he said, they work and I pay. We got a good understanding. They put in an 8-hour day, and I pay them for 8 hours worth of work. That same thing happened to me. I have a rental property.
Right.
And I've had workers come to work on the contract, the subcontractor, and they come to work intoxicated. And in one instance, on a two-story condo I own, they came to finish the roof up. And when they were working on the roof, I was going to pay them at the end of the process, pay on completion. They came to do the work, and he said, well, we'll be done with it tomorrow. I said, fine. I said, I'll come by and inspect it, and I'll have your money for you. They went to pick up their employees, and one of them was drunk. So they left them at home. And so what happened was they finished the roof up, called me and said it's done. So I went to look at the roof, and when I got there, an ambulance was there. Because the person that was drunk, he convinced his sister to bring him to the work site and put a ladder on top of her car. He got on top of a two-story condominium and fell off and broke his neck and ended up dying right there in front of the property. And that's why I have a strict rule, no alcohol on my property.
Right.
Whether it's a contractor, subcontractor, or somebody I hire, no alcohol. Because I don't want that responsibility on my plate.
Right.
But I see that a lot of times, black men with a sack in their hand, walking down the street with a can of beer. Drink it at home. Now you can drink if you want to, I mean that's your prerogative. Right. But let's do it the right way. Let's do it in business context. Right. But again, we disenfranchise ourselves. Okay. If we could go and do the things we should do that other ethnic groups are doing, then we can eliminate a lot of the problems we create for ourselves. We already got enough problems the white men have created for. We don't need to add more to our burden.
Okay. One quick statement, then Alan, I'm coming to you. Part of what you said is that those jobs African Americans don't want. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with this. It's problematic that when you don't create your own jobs, is this a matter of competing, creating your own jobs through your own ideas and your own innovation as well? If there's something that you don't want, then that's 50% of the problem. But the other 50% is that what we are saying here, that something is missing. There's something wrong with that part of that equation, and put a pin right there. Alan, come in, take a couple of minutes, and want to get back to the panel.
Hey, hello, Mr. Red.
Fantastic.
I'm going to give you a good example of something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio, you know, when President Obama lost to Congress.
Yes.
The first thing he said, I got to pass this immigration. You know, African-American people, we are immigrants too. We are strangers in a land that we don't even know nothing about. Everything they told me about. I'm going to give you a good example. When President Obama ran his presidential race, he said, I'm not even going to entertain the idea of reparation. We got the majority of the city council. Reparation is not revenge. It's like it's like right and wrong. We can't get reparation even when we got people in opposition. This was saying, you know, the Republicans said, if you don't compromise on this immigration with the Hispanics, they say we're going to impeach you. Now, if they wanted to impeach, are you there?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Now, if they
go ahead and wrap it up, though.
Obama, he ought to be going for a 2-for-1. If you're going to impeach me, I'm going down with the ship. I'm going to pass reparations and immigration and take that. Because we don't have strong leadership. The white man made us inferior to them. You know, Tennessee, Memphis, all these people come in from Mississippi and come and take stuff out of the state of Tennessee, out of Memphis, and go back to their homeland. We are strangers wherever we go. Now, Mr. Red and the other guy,
Omar and Jeffrey.
Put all the food on your refrigerator and laugh at your face. And every week you get paid, I take food out of your refrigerator. the most vicious person. And I said, man, he's a weak man. African American people, I see why people call us weak. When they put us in slavery, we had to lose this, not to be radical, we had to lose this inferiority that we don't even ask for reparation. We don't ask nothing for the city council, and we keep voting for these people. Even President Wallace said, I'm not going to entertain reparation. Why would you vote for somebody like that?
Okay. All right, Alan.
We do anything for fun.
Wrap it up, Alan.
And
Thank you.
Is taking areas of the economic power.
All right, thanks, Alan.
Since we've been here 40 years.
All right, thanks, Alan. Now, he said much of what Alan just said has a point to it, but now he said something that contradicted what we all know, and that we are immigrants as well. Now, you pointed out that when you read history and go back, we see the traveling back and forth of Africans, but that was during the time of our most greatest points in history. But we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade. Alan said that we're immigrants as well. Who wants to take that? You want to go? Who? Go.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'll start off and say that that is a historical fact that there was definitely people that were migrating from the motherland here to America. But that have actually been happening long before the establishment of
the slave trade.
Correct. The history of the Moors go back. Also, if we study a historian by the name of Ivan Van Sertima,
right?
He talks about they came before Columbus. So when Columbus came over here, he was shocked to realize that the people over here already had dark skin.
Yes.
So by the time the slave trade started and they started bringing people over from Africa, at some point they totally wiped out the native land, and those that were left remaining, they had a hard time in most cases distinguishing between the two. So we are, even those that were already free here became victims of slavery, and their descendants became victims of slavery.
Omar?
You know, if you look at the anthropological records in America, the oldest bones ever found in this country were found in Eugene, Oregon, and they belonged to a black man. 11,000 years old. Before the Indians were even in existence. They only been here 9,000 years. So we were already here even before Indians. Now, if you go back and look at it, any nation that gives 95% of its wealth away, like Alan was talking about, you look in your refrigerator. If anybody gives 95% of their wealth away on a regular basis, then how in the hell can they stay in existence? And that's what we do. Every Friday we get paid, and 95% of it goes to somebody that does not look like us. We don't even employ our own people. We don't care if they don't employ them either. I don't shop with them. If you ain't got nobody black working for you, then I ain't coming to buy nothing from you. That's just me.
I understand.
I'm just sorry.
In other words, there are a set of principles that we should operate by based upon our own consciousness. I'm gonna add cultural consciousness to that, Omar.
Yes.
But let me point out something. I want to point out something. We were looking at the big screen one day last week, and in African American history with the young professor Chris Johnson, and he pointed out Jay-Z, what's our guy's name, Kanye West, and Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z's wife, Beyonce, and all of the big money attributes. But we also compared and contrasted that with the new slaves after Reconstruction. And we saw some of those, what I'm going to call misguided priorities in the big pretty cars, and etc. So when we look at those pictures on the screen, what is that? Is that backwardness? Is that silliness? Is that a distorted mentality? We're talking about mentality again, and yet we see that African Americans' situations is dire. D-I-R-E, dire. Omar?
You know, in America, the white supremacist system don't mind if you have money if you don't have no sense. long as you're not intelligent with the use of your money, they don't care how much money you got. Then they're gonna get every dime of it back. When Ellen talked about reparations, we must have reparations because they have economically disadvantaged us from the day we set foot on the soil of this country. We must have reparations. They gave the Indians reparations. They still give the Jews reparations.
Still providing it today.
To this
What about the
day.
Japanese? Is that true as well?
And the Japanese reparations, for the few years they locked them up in concentration